Hey guys, what is going on? It is Brooke, or the Undead DM, back at it again for another video of Homebrew Review. And in today's episode, we are going to be reviewing the second subclass for the Pugilist, made by Benjamin Huffman, known as the Bloodhound Bruisers. Now, if you guys haven't seen my first video on the Pugilist class, I would go suggest checking that out first, and then later go ahead and check out the other subclasses for my general thoughts, tips, and ideas as to what could be done to make these classes and subclasses better. And in a later episode, we will go over the math for the Pugilist to determine how it pairs up against its direct competition, the Monk. So without further ado, let's get started. So Bloodhound Bruisers, from the short little excerpt, is sort of meant to be the Sherlock Holmes brawler type. He's meant to be the informant that's able to hold his own, a John Wick type. So the first ability you get here is detective work, where you can gain proficiency in two skills, either insight, investigation, or perception. And when you make an investigation, insight, or perception check, you can spend a moxie point to gain advantage. Okay, so again, for the first part of this is just kind of a ribbon feature. Like, more skills, that's fine. But spending a resource to get advantage on a check, personally, I think it's fine. I think you're still spending a resource to do something that your subclass should inherently do with some certain stipulations, but I can understand what they're going for here. I'm okay with this, personally, because it's a generalized investigation, insight, or perception. So spending a moxie point to get advantage is, in my opinion, not that bad, but some may disagree. Second ability here is Ever Vigilant. You have advantage on initiative rolls, and during the first round of combat, you have advantage on attack rolls against creatures who haven't acted yet. So Ever Vigilant is essentially the new version of Assassinate for the 1D&D rogue, where instead of getting a critical hit, you just gain advantage on anyone who hasn't gone yet. And personally, I think it's kinda mediocre. The first portion of getting advantage on initiative rolls is fine for going first, and it definitely helps in the second portion. But once again, like I stated in the Bloodhunter video, specifically the Bloodhunter math video, advantage only gives you a 65% chance. It goes from a 65% chance baseline to hit to an 86, like an 83% chance. You're only getting a slightly better chance to hit, and your DPR isn't really increasing all of that much. Yes, it's for all of your attacks, but you have no modifiers to your damage like the Bloodhunter does. So it's not that good. Maybe if you added additional damage on the first round of combat, similar to how the Gloomstalker Ranger does it, this might be better. This needs an additional oomph to make it a little bit better. Scrap like a sleuth. So at 6th level, you can use your bonus action to spend 2 moxie points, and when you do so, you have advantage on attack rolls against that creature, and you add half of your proficiency bonus to your armor class against attacks made by that creature for 1 minute. Okay, so a bonus to armor class isn't a bad thing. And half of your proficiency bonus rounded up, by the time you get this, will be 2. So you get a +2 bonus to AC. But at maximum, you're only getting a +3 bonus to AC as a bonus action. And for 1 minute, sure, that's fine. You're basically holding a shield the entire time. But when spellcasters can get a +5 bonus to AC, or when monks can make sure that all attacks against them for the turn have disadvantage by spending a key point, for you to have to spend your bonus action, spend double the amount of moxie points, just to get a slight boost to AC with no sort of damage mitigation with your low armor class and your low HP and your tendency to have to use features that give you exhaustion in order to gain those defensive abilities, this in general is just not good. If this offered a flat damage, like resistance of some kind, or just straight up that creature cannot, you're immune to weapon attacks from that creature, this would be fine. And like, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, but immunity to weapon attacks, that's super strong. Yes, but you gotta remember, you're melee. You are a melee class. You are going to be in their face. 90 to 95% of the monsters in every book in 5e are melee exclusively. So the fact that you, with a 17 armor class at maximum, with no access to a shield, and no inherent damage resistance outside of taking an exhaustion to get that resistance that barbarians just get for free as a bonus action, this needs to do more. It doesn't matter if you have a +3 to AC when the dragon has a +17 to hit you. If he even rolls a 2, he still hits you. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It needs something else. The duration I agree with though. A minute, maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes probably would have been better. This, and you know, that's just me though. Heart of the City. I can already tell you that if this doesn't give you any inherent increase to damage, like the very slight increase to damage per round that an extra attack at level 11 does, this is not going to keep up with damage. But let's see. When you take a long rest in a settlement, you could choose to become familiar with it, and when you use this feature, you replace the previous familiar settlement with this one, and while in there, you cannot be surprised, and you add your proficiency bonus to your initiative. You have dark vision out to 120 feet. When you make an ability check using insight, investigation, or perception, that adds your proficiency bonus. You have expertise in it. You cannot be lost by any means, magical or otherwise. And when you are not in combat, you can travel between any 2 points twice as fast as normal. So solely roleplay reliant abilities on a damage-orientated level for a lot of other martial classes. Yikes. You are losing out on so much damage with this. It is a minor damage loss in terms of the monk, but the fact that you're still losing out on damage and you already have to use your bonus action to get advantage or you get an armor class bonus is not that good. This needs to be straight up, it needs to add some kind of damage bonus. It does. It's just not good right now. And then Eyes Wide Open. At 17th level, so once again, same level that wizards are turning people into dragons with insane AC, insane to hits, and a breath attack that can deal 90 plus damage. You can use a bonus action and spend a moxie point, and for 1 minute, you have advantage on saving throws against being blinded or deafened, and you have true sight. Okay, why is this not good? Once again, wizards can turn you into a dragon and you'll be more effective. You having advantage on being blinded and deafened, one of the more uncommon conditions to be affected by, and having true sight out to 30 feet is laughably bad. This is almost as bad as the Warlock capstone. This is actually, no, I take that back. The Warlock capstone is actually kind of good. This is almost as bad as the Rogue capstone. It's terrible. So you're telling me at 17th level, when the wizard can turn me into a dragon, I get advantage, not immunity, just advantage on 2 very mediocre, very subpar, and not all that common conditions, and I gain true sight out to 30 feet when the monsters I'm going to be fighting have true sight out to like 60 to 120 feet, and they're basically immune to these conditions anyway. Awesome. This should just be a straight up immunity to these conditions and true sight out to a very large radius. This is a terrible ability with no real upside. It's honestly baffling to me that this got past the playtest. How people thought 17th level Pugilist was perfectly okay at this level, competing with monks at this level, hell, even fighters at this level, is beyond me. It is beyond me. So, what would I do to fix this? Again, this is a ribbon feature. I think detective work, not defective, sorry. I think detective work is fine as it is. Spending a moxie point to gain advantage, I would prefer if you could just spend a moxie point to succeed that roll instead. Similar to how you can use, similar to how in some homebrews of fighter you can use your Indomitable and it's just a legendary resistance. You're using this on 3 very generalist checks, and just succeeding on those rolls I don't think is going to be that big a deal. It's not going to affect your gameplay all that much. Ever Vigilant, this needs to have something more than just advantage. Getting you advantage on all attack rolls for the turn doesn't do anything. It makes it easier to hit them, sure, but the fact that you don't get any bonuses to damage is kind of sad when Dread Ambusher for the Gloomstalker Ranger gives you pretty much the same benefits, but also lets you deal additional damage. And hell, even Rogue's Assassinate ability for Assassin Rogues gives you a crit right now, but then in the 1D&D playtest they changed it to this. It's definitely not that good. Scrap like a sleuth. Okay. This either needs to offer more AC, or it needs to offer the same amount of AC, but then also give them some kind of damage resistance of some kind. Just something other than what it has now. Because getting a +2 to +3 bonus to your armor class for a minute may sound good, and having a shield that gives you a +5 bonus to AC only for the turn and spends a spell slot, you're gonna be thinking, well, that's not that good. That's a waste of resources. You're using a spell slot to survive and be more helpful to your team by casting control spells and like slow and web when you could be using that spell slot to do literally anything else. But then in the same vein, you're spending 2 Moxie points, which is 2 stick-in moves or 2 the old 1/2s. You're expending this and a bonus action to just gain armor, when you could use Brace Up and gain temporary hit points, and it will be more effective. Literally, Brace Up just replaces this entire thing. Just use Brace Up and get temporary hit points for like a minute, and you're fine. It does better work than this. Heart of the City, once again, it needs to have a damage bonus. If 11th level features aren't directly enhancing your damage output, you are falling behind in martial prowess. You need something here to give them a little bit of an extra push in the damage department. Otherwise, you are just going to lag, and lag, and you're never going to recover. And 17th, again, I don't know what it is with Wizards of the Coast and certain homebrewers who are scared to give martial classes strong abilities at 17th and 20th level. Like, if you're at level 15 to 20, just throw something at them. Give fighters, barbarians, rogues, monks, give them something. They cannot work with this. They cannot. Halfcasters, work on them more like this. Give them less powerful things at later levels, but still make them kind of strong because they're still partial martials. But limit them. Because right now, martials don't have good capstones. They need good capstones. Subclasses don't have good capstones. They need them. So overall, Detective work is fine. Ever Vigilant needs more things than just advantage. Scrap Like a Sleuth needs to just be changed entirely because Brace Up just replaces it entirely. Heart of the City needs something to give it damage, and Eyes Wide Open needs to be reworked entirely to give him something. Anyway, that is my episode on the Bloodhound Bruisers for the Pugilist. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, tell me what I could do to improve. Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next episode where I cover Dog and Hound. Anyway, latest.